gotta get them going, man. Gotta get it going. You ever wake up one of those days, you're like, ooh, I want it today. Today, I woke up like that. Today's one of those days I'm like, ooh, let's get into this, baby. Woo, 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 woo. Woo.
Well, welcome back, everybody. We're starting early because I'm freaking tired. I had a long day. But we got a special guest on here, DiviDan, or is it not DiviDan? What is your name? You keep changing your YouTube channel.
No, I can't. I never can make a decision. I don't know. I might change it one more time so I can talk about whatever I feel like.
I mean, I did it once, so I can't really talk too much trash. But yeah, you got to pick something eventually. You know, you got to settle down. You got to get your brand awareness out there.
Yeah, my brand.
Doesn't that sound so cheesy?
Well, the auditor Dan, like I cringed every time I said it, so I was like, I can't keep doing it.
I didn't mind that one.
Really? You thought it was all right?
It's like it's not. I didn't think it was that cringy.
I had to get rid of it though, work wise. So
that's true. You should be a tax professional, Dan, or something. Just talk about something that you don't do.
I didn't screw up the first time in college, and I would have probably done like what Andrew's doing right now. I would have thought so.
Oh, of course, my wife calls me right when the stream starts. But let me go ahead and answer this text. I'm just going to text her. But talk about your channel. What do you talk about?
Well, I was going to talk about dividend growth investing and like a directory for people of how to do it like the way I think it should be done, which is more of a, not just buying, yield. I know people, yield chasing and all that stuff, trying to avoid that and help people find good companies still. It's not if you're going to pick companies. So I did some informational. I'm putting like references to like different websites and different YouTubers I think have good information. I don't know. I'm kind of open. I was maybe do some stuff about like, because we've had like, honestly, there's been like European, I don't know what it is, Europeans reaching out and like 18-year-olds, like people just randomly be like, I have $1 million. What should I do with it? Or I'm just starting investing. What do you think I should do? And like, I don't, you must get it 100-fold more than I do. And I'm like, this is nuts. Like
I used to get a lot, but I'm kind of like, I don't like doing that kind of stuff because number one, I'm not a financial advisor. And number two, you tell somebody something, even if you give them a good reasoning about why they should do something, they might see the investing world totally differently. And if you tell them to buy an index fund and then it goes down 10%, they'll be like, what? You screwed me over. My God. So well,
I do like, I'm going to try and do live streams where I bring on guests. Like I had Strongman on one week. I've had some other interesting people, current events. I'm going to try not to talk. I'm not going to show CNBC. I'm going to show like trade magazines, do it the best I can.
And, I like this Elmo.
Fucking Michael Burry, man. So I did a whole episode on like decarbonization technology and climate change, and I did an episode about Toyota and their solid state batteries, which Toyota is kind of running like I thought it would at some point. So
is that going to crush Tesla? Is that really the future, solid state?
I think so. I think that's the next big race in EV technology. The batteries are everything. I don't think lithium batteries are the answer. Like 10 years from now, I don't think there'll be lithium.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, like theoretically, the solid state batteries solve, like, if you were to tell me why you don't like EVs, it's probably the same as me. It's like the charging takes too long. The batteries, degrade, right? Like they lose range after a few years, lithium batteries, stuff like that. They're fragile. Lithium batteries are fragile, right? If the cars get hit, they're like totaling the cars almost, I think, the insurance companies, because they can't risk any sort of damage to them. So theoretically, solid state batteries would fix a lot of these problems, but they don't exist yet. They're kind of like prototypes if they do exist at this point. They don't catch fire because they don't have the gel, because lithium batteries have they have little metal wrapped around like gel. Solid state battery wouldn't have that, so it wouldn't burst into flames, hopefully, like some of the Teslas you see. But,
yeah, I keep hearing these stories about Teslas going up in flames all the time, because my understanding of their batteries is they took a bunch of, I think, Panasonic batteries and they just linked them all together, and it's basically a massive interconnected battery of like 30,000 batteries, or not that much, but a decent amount of batteries. And it just kind of sounds like there's no better way to do that. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see a Toyota roll out a bunch of solid state and just crush Tesla.
They've been behind the scenes, and I've seen some of the some of the development. I've looked into it a bit. They don't talk about it a lot, and I don't know if this was the direction that you went in on purpose, but yeah. So I guess we'll see what Elon does.
We'll see. But so before we get on the stream, before we go live, we're talking about yield max, these yield max ETFs. So I looked into them a little bit. Can you kind of explain what these things are and why they're so popular in the dividend or passive income community?
I mean, this is like the next, it's like the next level. Like first it was QYLED. They were just blind covered call ETFs. So every month they just blindly did covered calls on like the SPY or NASDAQ or something like that. Then JEPI came along and Devo. So now it became a little bit more sophisticated of a covered call strategy using ETNs and stuff. So now we're like into the next level of these things where these yield maxes are like multi-layered option contracts on top of each other long-term. And then there's like a short-term out of the money option, which is how they generate the income. They don't own any of the shares of the business whichever business they pick for each one. So each one has one stock, but they don't own any of the stock.
Yeah, these are very weird ETFs. I mean, if I remember, the expense ratio is like 69 or 0.99% or it's some kind of really high expense ratio, number one. And then you look at these things, and like you said, they're just these fund managers trading options on a specific stock. Like they're buying calls or puts, and they're somehow using that to generate a yield. But it sucks in retail investors because it's like, oh my God, it's Tesla, it's Nvidia, it's Apple.
And these ETF managers are predatory as hell. They watch the trends online, and then they create ETFs to try and feed off whatever the popular investment style or strategy is online.
Oh yeah, it's totally a gimmick. Because why are they talking about the most popular stocks out there? That's interesting.
This is totally because of JEPI. JEPI has been such a mega hit, right? It's like tens of billions of dollars are in JEPI. So I think this is just like the next step for ETF managers to try and do something else to bring those customers in. And
yeah, I can see the attraction, because it's like, if you don't really know that much and you just look at JEPI, and wasn't it yielding at 10% or more at one point? So yeah, if you're looking at that, you're like, man, a 10% yield. Oh my God, I could retire right now.
Yeah. And it's tough because they look at that, if you just look at the yield, you're just looking at the dollars coming in today, right? This is really cool for you. Like you can 10x your dividend income if you buy these things.
Yeah, there's one thing I've learned, and there's never like free money in investing. It's never as simple as just buy high yield and you'll get that return. And I think people really think it's that simple, and it's not. I mean, you look at the holdings of this; it's basically a bunch of treasuries, and then I see call options, and I just see a bunch of call options basically. Maybe puts. I don't even know what this crap means, to be honest, but it's a bunch of garbage. So. Have you bought any of these for like fun, or you just kind of like academically looked into them?
It's just fun, and it's like I know I should probably do a video on them, I guess, right? But like I don't know. I read it. Here's why like you and Fabio are so good at YouTube is like I can read this and I can understand this is a terrible investment, but I don't feel like I'm really so qualified to explain to people why it's so terrible. So it's
you don't even have to fully
that level like of detail. Some people really need that. I can't just go online and say this is terrible, don't buy it. I don't know. I haven't formed that trust with people, but
yeah, because like I don't understand I'm familiar with like options contracts, because when I was a financial advisor, I had to like learn the very basics of them. So I know the very basics of options. But when it comes to like these whatever the hell they're doing with this thing, it's complicated, number one, which is dangerous. And then number two, it's obviously a gimmick to suck in retail investors. So like, and then you see the expense ratio, and to me, it all kind of comes together. Like, even if you don't fully understand it, number one, if you don't understand it, you shouldn't be investing in it. Number two, you're paying a very high expense ratio. And number three, they're sucking in retail investors. There's something fishy here.
Mm-hmm.
Which, if the fund manager blows something up, like if they do some bad trades, this thing could get wrecked.
Yeah.
Not like an index where you just buy a freaking index and that's basically it. You're just holding all the stocks in the index. It's not very complicated.
All these covered call investments, like they all do the same thing. They're just a slow bleed of money over time, because it's all like the contracts don't gain, contracts don't appreciate over time, right? Like a stock. So
yeah, and it's like inherently it's just stupid because the market over time has gone up massively. And when you're selling calls, you're betting against that basically, because if the market goes up or your underlying shares go up, they could be, you'd have to get rid of them basically. Because somebody could buy them from you. So it's like you're just betting against the long-term trend of the economy and the world and the market. It makes no sense for some temporary income. People are like, oh, it's just free money.
So
okay.
I talked about Jeppy a few months ago with on the podcast I did with Kingdom, and I showed people, okay, everyone's like, oh, it's safe. It's JP Morgan. They're a solid company. They wouldn't do anything wrong. I pull up the equity link notes that they had with Jeppy, and half of them were Credit Suisse at the time. I'm like, you people have no damn idea what you're buying. You think this is such a low risk quality product because it's JP Morgan investing in it. It's freaking degenerate as hell. I mean, all those ETNs could have gone away. Right? I mean, Credit Suisse was like close to just disappearing, I think.
Yeah, because I mean, it's basically a contract. It's like this weird call option synthetic weird thing in the ELN or ETN or whatever the hell you call it. And it's like, yeah, if the party that you're doing the contract with goes bankrupt, you're screwed. And like you said, Credit Suisse. It's like, come on, man, this is ridiculous.
I know, if you go look at the equity link notes and you're like, I've never heard of half these banks, or you probably I was like, you don't know what you're buying, people, because no one could explain exactly what equity link notes were, like beyond just the general description. I'm like, why are you buying this then? But
well, it's got that great income, It's
mm-hmm.
I think isn't Jeppy Q another popular one? I think it's like that. Well,
that's done really well, but that's because it's back QQQ, has done well. So,
but funny enough, so I actually looked at it very briefly. It's up like 20% year to date, which is pretty impressive because like I don't even think that's including the distributions. But if you look at QQQ itself, that's up like 40%.
Yeah.
So you still would have underperformed.
Yeah. Well, I did the math, like TSLY. I think if you bought that at the beginning of the year, you broke even so far between the loss of the share price and the dividend or the distribution. While Tesla's gone up 15%. So I'm like, that's what these things do. Like, I don't know.
And even when I retire, like obviously I'm going to need income, but it's not going to be in the form of Jeppy or Jeppy Q or any of these weird. It's going to be very simple bonds and probably a combination of dividends from my stocks and maybe selling some shares. I'm going to try to keep it as simple as possible, because the last thing you want to do is put all your money in Jeppy Q or Jeppy, and then the thing implodes, and then literally your entire retirement is gone.
The only one I would look at for retirement is Devo, because it does something very basic I can understand. They have a basket of stocks. They write covered calls on the basket of stocks they own, not synthetic, crap. So, but basically you could do that, right? I mean, you could just take stocks you own and just do covered calls to generate income if you wanted. And you wouldn't.
What do they charge for expense ratio? Is it high, low?
0.5, something like that.
Yeah. I mean, like I'm not a good options trader. So I would almost be willing to pay the expense ratio and have somebody do that for me.
That one's like, it's not the worst, I guess. Like, it's not going down. It's not depreciating. You can understand what they're doing. It's not overly complicated. But yeah, like you said, 30, 40-year-olds, why are you buying this? You don't need it.
Well, it's like it's the mental rush of getting a dividend because like my like VT. So in my Army TSP, I don't even see the dividends in there. I don't know if you've seen that. They do some weird thing where they don't even show the freaking dividends. You don't see your income, so I don't see any income there. And then I have my like taxable accounts. I maybe get like $200-300 every 3 months from my VT wax. Like it's not crazy amount of income. So it's not even like, enticing to me. But if I had something money in JetBQ and I had my entire portfolio in there, I could kind of see how you'd be enticed because it's like, oh, I just got $4,000 or I got 10 grand. That's when people are like, they get suckered in and they focus on the income and the deposit and they don't focus on the total return.
Yeah, I don't know. It's tough because dividend investing is boring as hell. So like these full-time YouTubers, there's just not that much to talk about, I think. And you almost are generating topics with these ETFs and these covered call strategies. Because otherwise there's not, like this year, I've only added one stock. Otherwise I've just been buying ETFs. So like if I was a full-time YouTuber, I'd be screwed. Like I wouldn't have much to talk about. So
no, look, here's how you do it. Okay. You just buy a couple $100 in something you don't believe in, but it's going to get the clicks. Buy some JetB, $100, $200, and then just say you're invested in it and make a couple videos on it. Then you can talk about all your income and, you can definitely make a grift out of it without going all in. I mean, that's basically what you have to do on YouTube.
You had a good idea, like pick a bunch, garbage stocks, wait till one kicks or wins, and then move everything away to show just the gains, right?
Oh, it's so easy. It's so easy to grift. Like it's people think these YouTubers are like highly skilled. It's like, no, they're just playing the game that they know works. I mean, I've made a couple Palantir videos where I was like pretending to be bullish on it. And I got like double or triple the views I normally get. It's like, wow, is it really this easy to be a scammer? I guess it is.
Oh my God.
I mean, because you can see like every YouTuber, they always eventually come around to buying the same stocks. It's always the same stocks. Palantir, Tesla, whatever, all the popular stocks at the time. PayPal's a new one. I noticed PayPal was big because like I made a video, like somebody did like a sponsored video for me. And I was like, oh, it's PayPal, whatever. And I got like 3,000 or 4,000 views. I'm like, oh my God, this thing is popular, So if you start buying a position and you start being bullish on it, you're going to get a lot of views.
It's like, I don't know. And it's so tough because like, if people don't know what they're doing, you go on and you just see, hey, all these YouTubers are talking about the same stock. Must be something hot about it. It's like, no, they're just doing it because you are they're just feeding you what you wanted to see. And they're aware. They know.
I always love how people, they like accuse me of being this massive secret grifter. And I always say, if I wanted to grift, why would I talk about VT? Like it doesn't make sense because it's like underperformed the S&P 500. It's not an individual stock. Like, why would I talk about VT of all ETFs? Oh, we got a super chat here. Oh man, I'm getting some passive income right now, baby.
Boy.
Woo! Tesla's repos are going through the roof. Man, I always hear bad news about Tesla and nothing ever happens. I don't know.
Did you hear? So Tesla's making cheaper versions of their cars, like less batteries, less motors. They're like, oh, it's so great. Like what you were saying, it's happening. They are just dropping their price to keep their numbers climbing.
Yeah, they are
lowering quality of the car. Like
their cars have always been trash. I've always heard such bad things about their car quality because like I think their whole goal is just to crap out as many cars as they can right now and capitalize off their popularity. But their quality's garbage, and they've cut prices massively on their more expensive models. I think the S and the E, or not E, the S and the X, I think it is. They've cut prices by like 20 or 30K. So, I mean, just like you said, it was so hard to predict. Oh, it's just a car company. That's a highly competitive industry, and everybody else is going to come into the EV industry. Margins are going to go down. Oh my God, what a shock!
I can't wait for the Cybertruck to be a disaster.
Dude, have you seen pictures of them in real life? Like not the doctored ones.
So bad. But like people like why nobody makes cars out of stainless steel for a reason?
Yeah, I mean it's like fingerprints and it just looks like garbage. It looks like absolute trash. I mean, like when I originally saw it, I was like, oh, it's kind of cool in like a weird way. But now that I've actually seen it, like in well, not real life, but I've seen like actual photos that aren't like brushed up, it looks like absolute trash.
It's like, well, your stepbro is gonna buy like 4 of them, right?
Well, yeah, he's gotta, be in with the team. Like Jeremy's gonna buy one. Meet Brett's gonna buy one. Farzad, I don't know if you've heard of that loser. He's gonna buy one.
Yeah.
Yeah, all these clowns. What's that idiot's name? Solving the truck stop problem. He's gonna buy one. They're all gonna buy one.
To be one stock. That's all you care about.
What is it?
No, saying those channels kill me. The one stock channels.
Yeah, I mean they do that because they made videos on it and it got popular, and they just kind of like went with what was popular. Because like when you start getting like, imagine getting 10 grand a month from YouTube or 20 grand a month from YouTube. It's like, yeah, you're going to talk about whatever people want to tell you, That's why they're doing it. It's addicting. Look at this disgusting comment right here. I'm just kidding. VT is the most boring topic. That's true. Everybody wants to hear about the next 10x stock on YouTube. That's true. I can't dispute that.
I mean,
let's see. My dad bought a Tesla that's already in the repair shop with wiring. He's a green energy goofball. Do you actually know anybody that drives a Tesla?
I know one person that has one. So I got to riding it with her, and it's so damn small. She's got a 3, and I felt like I was gonna break it when I got into it. But
yeah,
it makes this annoying noise when you back up because it has. Does
she have the fart horn on?
It's like shut up. But
I was literally I was crossing the street. I was in downtown Norfolk like 2 or 3 years ago, and I hear this it was either a dog barking or a fart. It was some kind of weird noise. I look over, there's some stupid like teenage kid in a Tesla beeping his horn at me, like pulling his car up to me as I'm crossing the sidewalk. I'm like, get the fuck out of here, you idiot. But you can customize your Tesla's horn or something like that. But I've ridden in the back of one. I think it was in Vegas. I was there for like a work thing. And I wasn't impressed. I mean, it was just a car, I was like, what's so special about this? It's a freaking car.
If you could invest full time, would you want to? I've kind of thought about this because like I've said like no on it. Like if I had the ability to like just quit my career and like be an investor all like full time, like I would hate that. I don't know. I feel like it would suck.
Are you talking about like money manager, or are you just talking about just investing?
Just like you just are running your own portfolio at home, like.
I think that would get boring after a while.
I know.
And it would frustrate me because I'd buy a stock that like has great financials and then it would drop for some stupid reason, and I would just get pissed. I like looking at financial statements. I think it's fun, but when it comes to like picking stocks all day, hell no, I couldn't do that. And I don't think most people, I mean, like the only people that actually do that are YouTubers like Jeremy and fund managers. And it's like, it's got to be a high stress thing because as a fund manager, you're always supposed to beat the market, and it must be stressful to like, because you're basically fighting against time and the inevitability of eventually losing to the market. And it's got to be a stressful thing. I couldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just a boring accountant.
Although I would say the first time I heard you bought VT, so I looked at it. So I'm like, he must have got wrecked investing like how I said. Because I was like, when I saw that what it was, I'm like, okay, So he must have lost half his money like in the beginning, like I did. And then he went to VT. And then you're like, no, I've always been that. I'm like, holy shit. You're built different than me.
I'm dead serious. Like, I did not know how to buy an individual stock until 2020. And that's because I started watching stupid YouTube. I was like, oh, maybe I'll buy some stocks for fun. But no, like I joined the Army. I started putting money in my thrift savings plan, and I didn't think about it. I mean, I was invested in like the L fund or something. So that's like European stocks, Japanese, all our allies, and then US stocks with that. But yeah, that's all I did is just invest in that. And then 2020 comes around, I'm like, oh, maybe I'll pick some stocks. That's kind of how it went.
How much do you hate the demographic charts I gave Kingdom when you debated him?
I mean, like, there's
I already told him it was me. I did them. So
yeah, there's some validity to those, but it's not the end all be all. Like, you can't just look at it. It's like just looking at a financial statement. You can't just look at a financial statement and say, oh, this is good or trash. It's the same thing with the demographic chart. Because, like, you know, I kind of twisted it around like, oh, well, you could invest in Eritrea or you could invest in Sudan. They have insanely good population pyramids. Mm-hmm. But I mean, there is some validity to it because, you know, in the long run, it can hurt a country's, you know, economy if you have a terrible population pyramid. But those things take a long time to play out. It's not just like, oh, tomorrow they're going to zero.
I just turned my mic. Someone told me to turn my mic up. This thing's terrible.
Oh, you probably sound better than me. I'm on my parents' computer. I don't have a mic. I probably sound like ass, but I don't care.
So do you want to rake me on the coals for liking dividends or? Yeah, but it's all fun.
Yeah, dividends are stupid.
Yeah. Terrible.
No. So the thing about, we talked about how, you know, before we went live, we talked about how you and Fabio did a stream on dividend irrelevance. And the one thing I'll say is that dividends are relevant because people believe they are relevant. I think that's a very key thing to understand because you see these like dividend stocks, everybody talks about them. They like the income, you know, or when they get older, they think about buying solid dividend stocks. It matters that a company pays a dividend because people believe it does.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I don't hate dividends. I just hate, you know, the Tesla whys. I hate the people that buy JEPI because they think it's free money. That's what really like irks me. Yeah. And you know, there's a huge like YouTube grift factory of morons just buying the most high yielding trash things you can possibly buy.
I think I just like long term, right? Either dividend or index investing is retail's best shot at any type of return, let's say close to a market return. Because we know even index investors don't perform as well as the market. So, but that's your two best shots, I think, of doing both of those. And I think trying to be a growth investor seems like death to a retail person. But I've read like the books of people that have done that. Like Peter Lynch was that style investor and others where you would invest in a bunch of rapidly growing companies. You know, some would go to zero, but the ones that succeeded would like 20x. So those 20xers would, you know, outweigh the ones that went to zero because you can only lose what you put into it.
Yeah, like if I don't,
that's like you as a retail investor, that seems like the worst of all the options, honestly. Like, which is what Jeremy's doing almost.
Well, you can be smarter about it. Like he was absolutely stupid on the stocks that he picked. You know, like just massively unprofitable garbage. If you're a little bit smarter, like you can at least buy a growth company that's profitable. You know, that's something you could do.
Yeah.
Like if I picked individual stocks, I would probably have a bunch of dividend stocks because like I don't hate stocks just because they have a dividend, but I'd probably be buying companies that are profitable. And when they're profitable, that generally means they have some kind of dividend. And then I'd be looking at, you know, maybe some growth stocks that I liked that were profitable that I thought had some good, you know, good long-term prospects. But I would never buy stuff like Tattooed Chef or, you know, the other garbage that he was buying. That is pure gambling right there.
Mm-hmm.
It's stupid.
That was the dumbest company ever. Like, oh my god!
Right off the bat, it made no sense to me. I'm like, as a man that eats food, I'm like, dude, this is $5 and it has 300 calories. Like, this is such a scam.
I would get one of their, I don't know which one it was. One of their dishes went really good with a ribeye. So I would always get it, put it with my steak. Yeah, I don't remember, one of those cauliflower dish ones, but
yeah, we had the quinoa. We actually liked that. And it was, I think we were able to get that for like $3 or $4. And we used it as like a side for our dinner. I mean, it wasn't like a consistent thing, but we bought it like 2 or 3 times. And the only reason we did it is because I knew about the company. But they had some stuff that was okay, but the vast majority of it it just didn't make sense. It wasn't enough food. It was too expensive. It kind of went against the whole vegan thing. You know, you're supposed to be eating healthy, and then you're eating this processed garbage in a freezer. Like it made no sense. But that was kind of the symptom of those crazy markets, that crazy market we were in a couple of years ago. Let's see. Have you been watching Jeremy at all? I actually haven't watched him.
I really have. The only guy I hate watch anymore is Everything Money, honestly. Yeah, I don't watch Meet Kevin or Jeremy anymore unless people post it like in Discord. But that dude they all got wrecked recently, right? PayPal, SoFi, Palantir, just
yeah, they had their temporary clown rally is what I like to call it. I mean, Palantir's still up decently from the bottom, but not from where they were buying it. Let me see SoFi. It's down to 880. What's PayPal at? 63. You know, like I'm not super against PayPal. Like I wouldn't buy it, but it's an okay, gamble in my opinion. It's not the worst thing you could possibly do. There's some risk. I mean, there's a ton of competition. I wouldn't buy the stock, but I can maybe see like, oh, maybe it isn't so bad for PayPal and the stock goes back up, because that happens sometimes. Like people think, it's the end, and it turns out not to be, and then the stock will give you some kind of gains. I don't know if that's going to happen with PayPal, but it's not the worst company in the world.
No, it still makes money, right? So
yeah, it's profitable. I mean, they grew. I think they grew their earnings. I think they grew their free cash flow. They grew their revenue. They just have some concerning things like account growth or user growth is flat. Ton of competition. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. Hopefully it goes bankrupt because Jeremy bought it.
Like all the death. His track, he really said that he beat the S&P, right?
Oh yeah. He really, and I don't know if he's so insane that like he has a split personality where he hides his losses with his one personality and then, believes his gains with the other personality. But he does believe, part of me thinks he does believe that he beat the S&P 500, which is just laughable because we know you didn't, Jeremy. Just stop.
So are you going to stick with the no more grifter slaying? It's over, right? So
honestly, like I really have no I'm not doing this for like a gimmick. Like I really have no motivation to do it. I haven't in the last, ever since the Palantir earnings came out and they weren't that great and everybody was like sucking each other off like they were the best earnings in the world. I was like, this is just a waste of time.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been kind of like, just doing what I want. It's hurt my views, but I just don't care. I mean, at a certain point, I was just getting too pissed about it. And I'm just kind of stepping back and taking a break. And I got other ways to make money. I mean, I can tutor, I can, do contracting, all that bullshit. So for now, at least, I'm retired from grifter slaying.
I'm like, you'll be back. Something big's going to happen.
If something big, like I left that caveat out there. If there's some big event, oh yeah, daddy's coming. Like if there's a huge, like a recession or something that actually happens and the stocks get wrecked, oh baby, I'm coming back.
Ugh, but yeah, buried short of the market, so it's coming for you.
Oh God, do we need to talk about Michael Burry?
I should post my every time, right? The scary flaming Elmo. I'm like, he's been right once in his life. once, right? But like somebody on like people on Reddit have posted like, you know, the chronological, all the calls he's made that he's been wrong, and nobody seems to care. Then, oh, look what move he made this time. And they always have to post what he did.
He's kind of like a YouTuber that bought Tesla. Like it's almost like the same equivalent. Like he got one huge victory, and now he's a genius, even though he's a moron. Like if you just look at his I think they're called 13Fs. You look at his 13F filings, every quarter, his portfolio is totally different. It's like he's just like a trading clown.
Yeah,
I mean,
there was a big deal when he had Geo. I think he was just screwing with people when he bought that prison, because he sold everything and just had that prison. I'm like, I think he might have just been messing with people at that point.
Yeah, because isn't the 13F as of the day, like there's a date that a cutoff date. I wonder if like that specific date is he probably bought it all on that date and then moved out of it the next day.
Just so he could post it, and then he laughs at everyone that's, oh, let's cover Geo, people. This is the next hot stock.
See, I didn't even know he bought that, but I remember looking at the stock, and the only reason it interested me back in the day was because I was like, yeah, I mean, if we have an immigration crisis again, we're gonna need prisons. Like, there has to be detention facilities, you know. So I was like, is this thing really going to zero? I don't know. So I put like $500, and then it like rallied a little bit, and I sold it. But but it was. That's not something I would put all my money into, because I think the big issue with Geo was a lot of institutions didn't want to refinance their debt because it was like a sin stock. So people were like, oh my God, they're going to literally go bankrupt because they're not going to be able to refinance their debt. And I don't even know what's happened with that freaking company. What's the stock at? $20,000 right now? It did have a huge rally, though.
The Burry rally.
The Burry rally. Yeah, it went up to $12, and then it plunged back down to $7.41. I think my cost basis was like $7 or something, so I'd still be up if I was holding the stock. Jesus. Let's see. Yeah, it was a REIT, and then they changed that to like a C corporation or something like that. Let's see. Hey, Strongman, when are you coming out with your workout plan? So I heard you and Fabio talked about working out. Did you drop any knowledge on there I need to hear about?
Let's see. Oh, that was what we were just going to talk. We were going to talk about investing, but no, just like training and the certain YouTuber that you call a certain piece or F or a fat piece of, you know what?
Oh, yeah,
kind of inspired. Yeah, dude, he looks terrible. I'm sorry, dude. I'm not gonna say his name, but dude, you got a lot of money. I know. I've seen your portfolio, but you need to work on your health, man. Like, and it's hit me this year because I broke my foot. Like, it just pissed me off, and I'm like working really hard now on my health, and it's a lot of work for people that work. Like, I work 40 hours a week. Then I have to work out, bring my kids to like sports, and it's hard. It's really hard. But I finally found something that's working, so I thought I'd freaking talk about it. I know Fabio has a pretty solid workout system himself, so it's not easy, right? You grind and you start gaining weight, and you just don't. It's just frustrating, and like nothing's clicking for years. So I tried to share some of the things I've noticed recently that have helped me, but. Man, being hungry sucks. I mean, you can't hide it. There's no easy way about it. It sucks.
I know, dude. Like, that's probably why I'm 240 pounds. So like, I work out pretty consistently, but I hate starving myself. I will never do that because I'm just a fat pig. I like to eat. So I kind of have to adapt around that and like work out extra hard, basically. And what I found is that if I lifted and ran, you know, kind of alternated, that was the ideal way to not put on fat. Because if I just ran, which I used to do all the time, I was still kind of like tubby a little bit, like fluffy. But once you lift and run, it's kind of like, I guess they kind of help each other out. You know, I don't know. I'm not a fitness expert, but that's basically what I've done the last couple of years. And I would say I'm pretty sexy. I don't know. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I'm like the training's not much different. I hired a trainer. So he programmed 3 days a week lifting, and then he wants me now to do 4 days a week of cardio now that I've lost some weight. So I was a little worried about my foot when I was heavier because I can still feel it. I mean, it's never going to heal the whole, it's never going to be 100%. So it's just like light impact walk. It's like incline treadmill walking, biking, nothing impact. Then progressive overload lifting. I don't power lift anymore. I was talking about that with Fabio. Like I used to power lift, but doing that, man, that's not for health. If I tell people that, like, that is not a healthy thing to do. Like lifting 5.
Well, you get older, you don't want to be lifting like super heavy weights. Like, I mean, I lift decently heavyweight, but I never max out. I actually don't do deadlifts because I've almost blown out my back a couple times. You just get older, then you just break a little bit easier, and it's just not worth it to me.
Like I don't. There's a certain amount of weight I'll lift, and that's it. For like deadlift or bench, I won't go past it anymore. Fabio was saying the same thing. He only lifts like 225 bench. He'll just increase reps. Like our age,
what I do.
Tearing freaking ligaments and blowing. Like I had a friend blow his back out, which is like terrifying for people our age.
I need to wait till I get on military orders to blow my back out. Then I can do a VA claim or something.
Well, he was a Marine, and he was really, dude, Marines are like psycho about weightlifting, and he got up to like over 500 pound deadlift or squat. He destroyed a disc in his back. He actually was an inch shorter after it happened. So it took him years to even become serviceably healthy about it, like years and years of work. So
I don't get it, man. I mean, I guess when you're young and you want to be cool, I guess women are impressed by that. I don't know. But
are they really though?
No. But when you're older, it's like, I don't get it. Like, I have kids, I'm married. Like, I don't need to max out my squats.
I don't think you look like, I could imagine I'd probably look pretty terrible, like grunting with this belt over my freaking nipples and sweating as I try to lift a deadlift and weird faces.
Yeah, I see the younger kids in the gym and I just laugh. I'm just like, y'all are such clowns. They're screaming. Come on.
Old man strength here.
And I noticed no women look at them. It's so weird. I don't know. Maybe I'm just not seeing it. Maybe I'm just behind the times. Let's see. Oh, Cole's in the house. Look at that. He's mocking your favorite investment.
Dividends. It's not all I do. That's why I might change the name of my channel. Like I've told Strongman, like I have a 401. You can't do a dividend strategy in a 403B. So it's basically VT. It's 50% large cap, 20% Russell, 30%, rest of the world. But
what?
Yeah.
You're a VT investor? What?
I basically just go to write like whatever the target date fund is, and I just kind of mimic the same basic ratios except for bonds. Yeah. I ain't doing any of that bond shit that's in there. Not for a while. But although you hate my Roth though, my Roth is SCHD and SCHG. So I know you hate that. It's all right.
I mean, I don't hate it. It's just
I just like to do. So you like to do one thing. I like to have everything be different strategies, just so I cover different bases.
I mean, you can create almost like an S&P, kinda, if you have like SCHD and SCHG. Like I can kind of see like how they're kind of similar, but then in my mind, it's like, why don't you just buy VOO? Like why get those specific ETFs? But I mean, they're not the worst things in the world. They have very low expense ratios. They have low turnover. I just don't like SCHD because it's super concentrated. I mean, if that's like your only investment, it's like, wow, you're really betting on Apple and Microsoft, basically.
Yeah. I mean, as part of a bigger portfolio, it can make sense. And I think it's a better investment than QQQ because it's more diversified. But I like its large cap growth, which I was just trying to, when I bought it in 2019 originally, I was just trying to stay away from unprofitable growth companies like ARK garbage. So that's why it appealed to me when I bought it, because I was trying to count. I had my dividend portfolio and my brokerage, and then I was trying to have something countering it, which I guess Joseph Carlson's doing the same thing now.
Of course he is.
Yeah.
He's just funny because he has all the top stocks in the S&P 500, Microsoft, Apple. He's got all those. And then he's got them even more with SCHG. Like, it's like, dude, you just buy something else. I mean, he's got like Texas Roadhouse, I guess. That's something unique. That's he's the only YouTuber I've heard talk about it. It was before Jeremy copied him, but most of his portfolio was like, to me, it's just funny. But he's got more subs than me, so what can I say?
I would like to see him get more industrial, but that's on him. I did mention it. I talked to him. I was in his Patreon, and I talked to him a few times about like investing before I quit, but I don't know. I quit over the FCX or the crypto advertising issue where he was pretending that he didn't advertise. The crypto FCX, right?
Yeah, FTX. Yeah, I think he tried to like cover his ass or something. It's like, dude, you shilled it. Just
he was getting some heat, and he didn't cut. It was days before he did a video, I think, right? Apology.
Yeah,
you could tell he was forced to, and then he started. If you mentioned it, he would block you or ban you. So he went total blacklist on people about that.
Dude, I mean, honestly, that's for a YouTuber. That is the smartest thing to do is just block people because you can just silence all your critics. Like it's not really an open forum. It's if you screw up something, just block them, and then it's just like it never happened. Delete the videos.
Oh, you wait to what Tesla or Elon's getting rid of the block feature on Twitter. Paul, everything money better watch out because he's blocked me repeatedly.
He blocked me too. He blocked me.
And Paul, I've been blocked over and over again, so I have to keep creating new accounts.
You create new accounts. Well, I think the thing is they can still mute you, so you can't.
Come on.
Yeah, they can mute you, so you can see what they're doing, but they can make you go away. So I think that's still an option. But for a while, you can maybe get in his shit and make fun of him because he's very easy to make fun of, Mr. Shorting Nvidia. What else did he short? Did he short QQQ?
He was shorting QQQ before it. I think he closed. I don't know. You get these little snippets when he says that he does something. You got to like pay attention. But yeah, he was shorting QQQ when it was basically at like last fall, I think, near spot. Now Nvidia,
I would love to see his total returns, man. There is no way in hell he's beat the market.
No,
and that's why he has a huge YouTube channel.
But you're right. He just keeps getting bigger, and people just fluff him. And even though he never wins nothing ever goes up that he invests in that I can find. And I've tried to track it. People in the Discord have lists of stuff he's said he's invested in. It's all a bloody mess. But
yeah, and it's weird because like when I first saw the channel, I thought it was okay, and then after a while, you realize they're just doing the same thing over and over. It's the most boring freaking thing I've ever seen. And they're not even funny. Like there's no entertainment factor. It's just, let's look at this financial statements and we'll just glean over it, we'll gloss over it, and then we'll put it in the stock analyzer. That's all they do. It's boring as hell.
Like he is like you'll see like when he talks about like chip companies, Nvidia, AMD, stuff like that, people will comment underneath and be like, you have no understanding of what you're talking about at all with these companies. And like none. And they're like, you should stop talking about these companies completely, which he's proven. He bought Intel at 45. He was mocking AMD when it was like in the 60s. And he said it was still overpriced. And like he has no business, but he's too arrogant, right? He thinks his software works for anything. But like, I know my investing style doesn't work for everything. It doesn't work for like, I don't know anything about software companies. So I don't look at them at all. I stay away, but
yeah, software is kind of attractive to me because it's like it's super profitable, which is what I like. It's got revenue growth. So like I do get interested in software companies, but like you said, it's hard to. Sometimes I read their financials or their 10Q, and I'm like, okay, they just explain what they do, but I still don't really understand what they do. And you don't want to be investing in something like that because you just have no idea what the competition is or whether they're trash or not. I don't know. And I just don't have time, man. I try. Like I was reading up on Walgreens last night. for like 20 minutes. And I'm like, I'm freaking tired. I'm just going to go upstairs and read my fantasy book or something and go to bed.
See, I'm like, yeah, to invest in individual stocks at all, you have to be interested in it. If you're working like us in families. So, because we have more, an hour or two maybe at best before we pass out. So,
Dude,
if it's not, yeah. So like I'm looking at like engineering consulting firms that build like climate change like technology, or like that's interesting as hell. I can stay awake for the few hours I have. But like if you told me I had to like interpret Palantir's 10K, I'm just gonna die inside a little bit every time. or CrowdStrike or something. Like I don't frick Dropbox. I don't care. Like
I like Dropbox, the product. I think it's an amazing service, and they're actually rolling out, because I use it, and they're actually rolling out like additional features that I think are really good for small businesses. Like you can do digital signing. It's very easy. It's very convenient. They've got some cool stuff, but the company also has some weird financials. Like they have horrible stock-based compensation. And it's just one of those companies. It's like, I like the product, but
they're going to revise SBC. It's all right. You didn't get the notes. You didn't get the notes from the CPA board.
Yeah. Okay. Did they change the rules because of Joseph Carlson?
Yeah, because financials are because of investments. Metrics. That's why they change statements.
That's what I knew. Joseph Carlson was just a massive moron, and it's like, because I'm an accountant, so I know he's just 100% wrong about what he's saying. It's like, well, what else is he saying that maybe I don't know because I'm not an expert in that field?
Oh yeah, investing metrics are not GAAP metrics. You fucking idiot.
It's just comical. It's like you have no training in accounting. You have no idea why stock-based compensation is added back. Just shut up. Like,
well, he wouldn't have known that you'd have to make a second adjustment at least to make one adjustment to an accounting financials. There's another side to it, a reciprocal side. So he's like, oh yeah, just put it in the where do you want to put it? The finance part of cash flows.
I guess, yeah.
I'm like, okay, well, what's you have more entries, you have to adjust it now, but you don't know that. So
it's like on top of that, so depreciation is added back under operating. So shouldn't that be under investing? It's the same concept, right? It's like, dude, just shut up.
I know.
But I've tried to roast him. I get like, 3,000 views. Oh, wow, I've changed the world. And he just goes right on growing his ball trim software or whatever it's called. And that's why I'm done with that. People are like, oh, you're going to come back, strong man. I'm like, I don't know. I'm not feeling the motivation. I'm burnt out, bro.
No.
I've been going pretty hard on YouTube for a while, too. It's just a pain in the ass. Let's see.
Company.
Let's see. Michael Anthony. What is GIS?
What is that? General Mills. Food?
Yeah, I see Altria in there. And the last two I don't really like personally. I thought I would like Altria because, like, obviously I've used tobacco for a long time, but I look at those companies and it's like they're in massive debt and they're trying to survive the decline of smoke with these new stupid products that half the time turn out to be a disaster. Like, good luck,
Dude, the menthol ban you're talking about, I think it's going to happen.
Oh yeah.
So,
yeah. And when it comes to BTI, because British American Tobacco, or I don't know why it's called BTI, but they a big part of their sales in the U.S. Well, most of their sales come from the U.S. for cigarettes, and a big part of those are menthols. So it's like, what's going to happen to their? I mean, maybe they can weasel their way around it. I don't know, but literally nobody's talked about that, and it's like, it took me like a little bit of research to find it. Like I was just reading about it, and then I was like, wait, menthol ban? What? It's like, what's going to happen to this company if they actually ban it? I think the stock will potentially plunge because they're going to lose a lot of money if they can't get around it. So, But it went down. It's cheap, bro. Just buy the dip, bro. Actually, the one I like the most out of tobacco, just from like, curse, don't take this as an endorsement, but I liked Philip Morris International because I think they're more expensive, like looking at PEs and all that, but they're less exposed to like all the regulations in the US and all that nonsense. So I can see why the stock's trading for higher multiples. All I can say.
Mm-hmm. I've had all three of them, one point or the other. I always wanted I had one cigarette company at all times. I would just every few years move it around. It didn't really matter.
I mean, if there wasn't that menthol ban, BTI would be pretty sexy, And when I initially saw it, I was like, man, this looks, it's got a great dividend. I don't hate it because of the dividend. I'm like, man, this company's highly profitable. It's like, maybe. So if the menthol ban goes away and nothing happens, maybe it would be more enticing, but not right now. Let's see, what is this? Will you start a $10,000 course if your channel ever gets to, what the hell would I charge people for $10,000 for? I don't even know. That would have to be like a tax return for like a huge corporation.
Yeah. Like, what do you think? Like, what do you tell people? Like, they're brand new to investing and they're like, I want to learn. And they I'm 19. Yeah, I see it in Reddit more, in anything. Which I appreciate that Reddit exists for that. Like, I'm in those groups too. And they're like, what do I do? And it's like, we tell them don't buy Lufufu's course or meet Kevin's or something, but it's like, okay, well, what do we tell them they need to do? Like,
for me personally, like, I haven't read a ton of investing books. I mean, I've read like the classics, like I've read the Jack Bogle books and all that. I would say just go on bogleheads.org and just sit there and soak it in and, learn about, like, buy almost like academic or just textbook, not even textbooks, but, like books that would just explain how the stock market works. And because you really have to absorb it all and really understand it without the biases and misinformation that's on YouTube. So you should totally stay away from YouTube, read, more professional written stuff. And then overall, just stay in index funds. Because even if you know everything, you're still going to screw up.
Yeah. And like we've talked about, like, I didn't know you could invest in ETFs when I started, whereas that's what all you knew was ETFs. So, I mean, like,
dude,
I would be different if I started today. Yeah. I would, your first like 5 years investing, you just pick whatever, SPY, VOO, or I don't know, whatever one's your cup of tea, and that's it. And then you're learning and you're investing at the same time, and which is great. You don't have to learn before you invest. So you can do them both at the same time. And then at some point in the future, when you have a profession, maybe you have some education and experience in life, and some friends and a circle of competency, maybe you can take some shots at some stuff, some small like investments shots. Like my friend hit a home run with AMD years ago. He saw it before it blew up. I did really well with Carrier recently, like 45-50% gain. That's all because of my experience and my friend and my brother's an engineer. So you can develop those skills to make some shots, but then you have that core right of an index.
Yeah,
I think
you can do anything.
Yeah, you've secured your retirement, and you can invest a little bit to do that, to have some fun with that, fulfill the hobby a bit. So, but like the Boglehead thing.
Yeah, but my only thing is like you should at least max your tax advantage accounts, in my opinion. And it's before you do anything else. And when you're doing that, you don't really have, I mean, in an IRA, you can probably buy individual stocks, obviously, but you should max those out first. And that's really hard to do. Most people can't do that. And if you are able to max it out and you have extra money, okay, maybe you can use that money to have some fun. But most people have no business. Like,
I used to have individual dividends in my Roth, and then I realized after a while, I'm like, your Roth should not be individual stocks.
No,
because you cannot. When that money, if you make a mistake, you can't replace that money. You get $6,000 a year. That's it. So
that's your retirement, and you don't want to mess up the tax advantages.
No,
because like it's so great when you're retired, never having to pay tax again. You don't want to blow that opportunity on stupid stocks.
I know. But even just like let's say you don't even get to say you get $4,000 a year in your Roth, like say that's all you can afford, and you start at 20, I mean, you're better off than what, 90% of Americans just there. And maybe people get so overwhelmed because they think you have to do the Roth and pick the perfect investments, and then you have to get the perfect job with a 6% match, and they think all that's required. It's like, no, man, like it's so much more basic than that, and you're just better off than most Americans. No credit card debt, and you put at least 4. Hopefully, you can max your Roth every year.
I remember when I was like 25 or 26, and like I was looking at my net worth, and I was like, I have more money than most people that hit retirement. Like, that's how bad. And I was just like trying to put money in my TSP, basically. I wasn't doing anything special. I wasn't trading. I was just saving diligently. And I look around, I'm like, people that are retired have less money than I've saved right now. Like, that's sad how bad it is in the United States. So if you're maxing your Roth and you're buying a good ETF, you're going to be fine. You're probably going to retire better off than 99% of people. And that's the comfort that I take, even though I like to buy slow growing ETFs. when COVID hit, because I did unemployment covered for my agency, I got switched over to unemployment insurance. So as soon as people got locked down, with that week, people are calling us crying because they have no money. And my brain is like, wait, you've been unemployed for 5 days. What do you mean you have no money? But like that's America. And it's like, holy shit, are you kidding me? Like I could probably last years, like if I had to stretch all my assets and use my credit lines and stuff. Like, but these people couldn't survive missing one paycheck. Well, that's partially why we have a good economy. Is because people are a consumption-based economy. People spend everything they have.
Oh yeah.
But hey, it benefits me because I own the companies they're shopping at. But it is really sad to see that.
Do you think Cameron, what's his name, Cameron Haynes, the guy that does the finance YouTube, do you think he's helping, or is it just entertainment? Like,
Cameron Haynes.
Or am I screwing his name up? The finance one.
What does he talk about?
Someone's gonna type it, and he does like the social audits.
That dude. What is his freaking name? I know who you're talking about. That guy. Someone
gonna help us here.
Yeah, I mean, overall, I think he's harmless. It's stupid. It's just entertainment. You're just watching somebody get roasted on the internet. It's like, but I have better things to do with my time than see the 20,000th idiot that doesn't know how to save money. It's like, I get it. Most people are morons financially. I don't need to watch this. Caleb Hammer. That's what his name is.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's not. I don't think he's a grifter or anything. It's just not really my cup of tea. Not something I would watch particularly.
This guy bought AT&T. Made 7%.
And end up only.
Every dividend investor bought AT&T and Verizon when they started. Everyone. So when you see it, if they have it in their portfolio, it's like, okay, maybe they didn't buy it recently. Like, give them a break.
I mean, you look at them and it's like they're at like 20-year lows or something like that. And they have such a great dividend yield. And I'm sure people get sucked in. And it's like, well, there's probably a reason why these stocks are at 20-year lows. They don't just go to 20-year lows so you can buy the dip. That's not usually how it works.
There's no growth. Like, there's no, like, what else are they going to do other than take on debt to pay more dividends?
Pay you dividends, bro. But that's it. And plus, they had that lead cable thing. I don't even know what came of that, but it's a huge risk. Like, you don't even know the potential liability. So I say, if you want to buy individual stocks, stay away from companies that have potentially massive future liabilities, because you could just get annihilated, and you can't predict it. Nobody knows. So sometimes it's just hard. You can't detect it at all.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus. All right, we do about 5 more minutes, man. I'm gonna go to bed. I was telling Dan, my daughter's been crying all day. All day.
It gets better, dude. It gets better.
It's been torture.
I've been hanging out with my kids all weekend. It was a fun weekend. They're passed out from being sunburnt or out in the sun all day. So
I can't wait, man. And then one day
like 4 years old, like I think was like, I don't have to bring luggage. They stop complaining so much. Like they start being fun. And you got so much stuff to do in your area. What a great area. Like
it is a nice area.
I might retire down there. I was scoping houses when I was down there. So.
I mean, you can get some cheap houses, man. Like
yeah. But Virginia Beach, Norfolk, just so much. Like there was so much more to do. We just ran out of time. But I love the military, like just military everywhere. You know, you feel at home kind of being a veteran there. So
yeah, there's a commissary. Like if I ever wanted to, I don't go to the commissary, but there's one like 6-7 minutes away from my house. There's a huge Army gym, or not Army, it's Air Force gym. It's super convenient. They have this great thing called Paradise Ocean Club. There's this beach that I used to go to all the time. You pay like $10 or $15 to get in, but it was amazing. They had like bars and all that. And of course, the government like shut it down this summer. So I haven't gone to the beach once this whole summer. And I live by the beach. Let's see.
Oh, man.
Who's this? How much you want to bet this is not a real woman? Not Dividend, who gives better financial advice, Strongman or Jeremy Lefebvre? Oh, who gives? Oh, she's asking you. What do you think?
Who gives better? Is that really you? Be honest.
No.
We won't judge you. I mean,
when you see a very good-looking girl in a thumbnail, it's not her.
Like, okay, listen, people. Like, I have hated on Chris for VT for a long, like in the old days on Discord. I was like bashing it, but now I'm like come around a bit because I'm moving more towards ETFs, and obviously Strongman will lead you to a better place. Like everyone out there, like you should strive to be a professional in a craft of some type in this world, right? I'm a professional auditor. Chris is a CPA. You don't have time to do what Lufufu's doing. And we were talking earlier, to be a full-time investor, like on your own portfolio outside of working at like JP Morgan, like what a weird profession, or not even profession, it's just like I don't know what you call it, a gerb. But like I don't know how to explain to you people, like you don't have to be an accountant to be a good investor. We're not saying that, but like you have to have, okay, if you don't go to accounting school, well, okay, how else are you going to learn financials? Like Chris and me have been trained professionally and we work in this space. So like ask yourself, how else would these people learn this? Like, did he read a book? Okay, I've never read a book that could replace what I went to school and my professional career I was taught. So I think you're fooling yourself to think that someone like him can lead you to, you know, greener pastures. But
the gas station manager.
I mean, he can just keep effing up and hiding it from you all, and that's what he does. And I can tell, Tattooed Chef was the most clownish investment of my life. There was never a second. I'll keep saying this. I've said this on the other side. There was never a second in any, like, I'm in all the Discords, like with Chris and Fabio. Nobody ever said anything positive. We all just laughed at it the whole time. Like, I know you don't believe us, people that had Tattooed Chef. I'm sorry, but it was never a good idea. It could never have worked.
Those were wild times. Those were wild times, man. Now it's like boring because everybody's buying all chef texts.
Fabio and me struggle with SoFi because it's like, I see it. It could just blow up any day, the way they've constructed their loan book. And I don't think people are pricing the risk of that happening into the stock appropriately. They're only projecting the growth that SoFi's telling you they could have. I don't think they're projecting the fact that that thing could get just, I can't even imagine what would happen if some of their personal loans start defaulting.
Yeah, that's the first thing I noticed.
And it's already, yeah.
I was like, oh my God, the personal loan is like everything.
And it's a very high market cap already, I think, for its value. Honestly, it's not cheap. I don't know why people think it's cheap. So like I talked in the video about the allowance for doubtful accounts, which, you correct me if I'm wrong, allowance for doubtful accounts is done by a third party, right? Or partners.
Management.
Okay.
Management.
I read some. It can be brought. They can bring third parties in for that if they need to.
They can bring like advisors and stuff in. help.
So that's what I was commenting about, because that's a future projection of their loan book having doubtful accounts. So someone commented, they're like, well, their current default rate's only like 0.5. I'm like, you're investing on the current default rates, not the future projected default rates. Okay, buddy, you will never see it coming then if it happens.
I mean, it's all clown loans. It's like personal loans. Like, just think about it. You're lending somebody money for what? So they can pay off their credit cards. You're lending money to clowns. You know, it's not like you're lending a mortgage to somebody with an 800 credit score. It's totally different. But hey, you know what? You know, people, when SoFi implodes, you know what's going to happen, Dan? Nothing. Okay.
No,
they're just going to
all those people will just move on to the next stock. The SoFi people.
That's what they're going to do. All right, man. I'm going to shut it off. I'm freaking exhausted. It was a good chat.
Yeah, we'll do it again.
Yeah, don't you have a YouTube channel, right? If new people that just came in, DiviDan Investing. Subscribe now before he changes his name.
I'll still do investing topics, but like I'm gonna do I will do cows next. I have it written up. So because I'm gonna blend like, okay, here's some ETFs that have outperformed the market. I'm gonna take some academic research that might validate some of their investment like thesis and make, can you apply that to your investments a bit? But I mean, you just buy VT, but it's interesting to me to see like certain ETFs that do outperform. Maybe you can get some lessons why. Instead of just buying them, you can kind of that's research to me. Like looking at YouTube videos, not so much, but like maybe you can pull something from that as an idea that might help you in the future. But I don't know. But if you're coming on YouTube to learn how to invest, people, I'm sorry. I really am sorry.
You're in the wrong place.
You can generate ideas from YouTube, but I don't know. To learn here, good luck. But so.
Well, cool. Everybody go subscribe to DiviDan, and you can learn about the cows ETF. I'll probably watch that video. It's curious. I'm curious.
The thumbnail's got to be sweet, though. I got a good idea. Cows.
Your thumbnails are hilarious.
Well, Kingdom kept saying you have to have a certain format so people know your videos. I'm like, nah, I'm just gonna fucking
just have fun with it.
I don't care. I love the double dragon one because. Do you know what their names are?
No.
Do you know what their names are? Jimmy and Bimmy.
Jimmy and Bimmy.
If Dex is here, he said it. I didn't know that.
Well, thanks for coming on, man. We're gonna do a Jeremy outro. Actually, let's do an Everything Money outro. Let's see. We'll do the one Fabio made. I think it's this one. All right. Bye, everybody.
I'm Paul. I'm a value investor. Return on equity is assets minus liabilities. A lot of
Oops.
this conservative to get. Stock is currently at 182. The low price is still higher than the current price. I'm a buyer.
Oops.
I'm Paul. I'm a value investor. But the real true investor is the one that does well during a bad time. I have BABA, Carnival Cruise Line, Farmers Bank, HPQ, Intel, Facebook, Miller Knoll, Sleep Number, Smith & Wesson, Steelcase, GDX, GDXJ, and Walgreens.
Oops. I don't pay attention.
So you never know who's naked, and I rarely say too hard.
I think my dad finally feels I'm not a failure.
I think so.
Because of Everything Money, you think?